Hi everyone, Phil from Warhammer Online, and another quick instalment for our rough cuts on the desert board. Right, well, whole bunch of progress today. So I'm going to talk through the stages we've got to. This is far more like the final colour now. So as you saw from the last instalment, it had just got essentially a base primer on. So from there what we needed to add was a mid coat and then a highlight. The mid coat I chose was Xandri Dust, so it would fit in with a whole bunch of armies that we've actually based to suit this style board. So Xandri Dust was achieved in two ways really. One, I had the spray itself, and then the other thing was I colour matched a pot of Dulux Tester to Xandri Dust, and it's remarkable how close actually those two colours ended up. It worked really well. So there was a very thick coat of the Dulux Xandri Dust put on top of all of the scenery and the board itself, and then any final bits that were missing were just hit with a can of the Citadel Xandri Dust. But to be honest, that was just to save time. I could have gone back and used the Dulux paint. It was such a great match for the board. I'm definitely going to be using that colour matching option again with Dulux paints for scenery, because you can really just get them to match your army base. The final stage was a can of this, which is actually a colour primer, but the army painters are all colour primers, and that was the Skeleton Bone, and that was to give the highlight basically. So as you can see, that's pretty much everything. We've had that mid coat on, the highlight has been hit in selective areas, so there's still a bit of dark tone in some areas, although I think as you can pretty much see, it's not everywhere by any means. And this is not the final stage, it's just the sort of final, I think, really large action stage to a degree. From here it's going to be about maybe picking out the airbrush, going over certain areas and putting tone and shadow back in. So I'll probably be blasting shade into these cracks here, blasting a little bit of shade down in those holes again, and then also doing a final hand dry brush to pick out the edges of the ridges and the edges of the scenery to try and get that to look good. But again, pretty pleased with the results. It's a big board, lots of cool scenery, lots of line of sight. So it's set up at 6x4 at the moment. It's featuring Sam's Mount Akuma, although the locals tend to call it a Tartar. I know, what can you do? But Sam really wanted that in the scenery set, so it's there. I think it's going to be an awkward piece of scenery to fit on a 4x4, but certainly for the 6x4 boards, you get away with just this nice centerpiece terrain, and I'm sure we can come up with some lovely narrative around it. Just have a quick look around how some of the bits came out as well with a final coat on. As you can see, the sort of cracks worked really well. I was very pleased with that. The texture came out, let me just hit focus on that. Texture came out really well, and it's quite hardy as well, and it's not too, I know this sounds crazy, it's not too spiky, so it's not going to get knocked off. And again, we're going to be doing a tutorial on just how I achieved the texture across a 6x4 board in the space of less than an hour really, so definitely a nice little tip there. Layered rocks, I think all looking good, but again what I might do is kind of go along here with the airbrush and actually sort of spray some stripes into it, so as if some layers are darker than others. I think that will be nice and add some features to the board as well. And again, some more of the sort of cracked area and the little surface mud drying and cracking and falling down the hole. I really like that bit actually. And then some of these deep ones where it's sort of cracked and move apart even more. So yeah, overall really pleased with the progress so far. I think if I was being honest with myself, it's probably not far off being able to game on as it is now, but I think it could just be made to really punch out with some selective dry brushing and some selective shading, just so it adds a more range to the colours when you're looking at the board. Okay everyone, we'll keep you posted. We've got Salute this weekend actually, so I'm not sure there'll be any more rough cuts before the weekend. Tomorrow night's going to be a busy night as we're getting everything ready, getting the cameras ready, charging a million batteries, organising where people need to be, etc, etc. So there's quite a lot to do, so I'm not sure there'll be a rough cut until after the weekend really. Hopefully though the board will be finished on Sunday, because myself and Jack are planning on doing a 40k battle report on it, and that is going to be, I believe, yeah, we can let this out, it's going to be Tyranids versus Mechanicum, and we all know how evil Mechanicum are when it comes to going up against Tyranids, so that should be fun. Right, well, thank you very much. As ever, if you like what you see and if you want to see more, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a load more content over at our website as well, so that's www.wargameronline.com, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Bye.